with Principal TJ Locke of Newman. And TJ, obviously an interesting development today. I know you voted against this, as many of the private schools did, for obvious reasons. And it's pretty interesting because you've had to compete with John Curtis, the clear target here, along with Evangel, over the past several years in 2A, and yet you're for this for a lot of other reasons.
You know, I think it's obvious that the reason this came about is purely for football. Otherwise, this would have been a vote about all the other sports. And if this is about a few schools, that problem hasn't gone away. It's just the public schools have just kicked that problem over to the so-called select schools. But you know, we're driven by a different mission. We're not driven by football as our mission. And so to lump us in a category or to treat us that way, that it's unfair in some way when we're focused more on academics, just doesn't make any sense. And I'm worried that this does separate the association into many categories, and I think it does weaken it. And I sympathize with the public schools, but we all know the issues, and the LHSAA has the power to just legislate the recruiting violations that plague us. They have the power to do this, and that should be the issue, not voting to separate us.
Two things come to mind. Number one, as you mentioned, enforcement, and maybe having an outside enforcement entity to come on board, impartial, and enforce with vigilance. And if that was done, I think we wouldn't be here. Secondly, the concept of open enrollment. Public schools across the board. Would that help solve this problem in any way, shape, or form?
Well, that might solve the problem, but we shouldn't decide what's best for our schools by what's best for football. So certainly we would welcome an outside agency to rigorously, I mean, you look at what the NCAA does with college sports. Big programs fall because they're tough on the rules, and we would welcome that. And I think LHSA needs some help, some objective people to come in. But certainly open enrollment for everyone as an educational policy isn't really relevant here.
You mentioned the concern about the future of the organization as a result. Would there be other considerations from these private schools or select schools to possibly look at their own options in terms of an own organization?
Well, if you look at Texas, I mean, the independent schools play in a whole different league, and we have a different mission than the Catholic schools and other schools. But if we were to only play against independent schools, we would be traveling forever to play schools, and it would just be impractical. So it's complicated, and I'm not sure how this is going to fall out, but there's a lot of strings that come attached with being part of the LHSAA, and if we were free from those, we'd have to consider that as well.
TJ, thanks for the visit. Best of luck to you.
Thank you.